spoiler warning on this one, but uh
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
Oops.
Like literally.
alrighty, well, welcome to Like Literarily for our February episode. Happy Valentine's Day from Riley Tries Hobbies.
Momo from Momo's Bookshelf.
And Alicia. So today we will be talking about all things romance and more specifically, one of our favorite romance authors here on Like Literarily, Emily Henry.
Yes, M. Hen is a big favorite of ours and currently has 4 books out. And in order of release, they were Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, Book Lovers, and Happy Place. And to be released in April of this year is actually her 5th book, Funny Story. So let's go ahead and get into all things lovey and cheesy.
All right, so to preface each of her books, what we did is we found a 1-star review for the book. And so the first 1-star review is if this book was a spice, it'd be flower. And drum roll, please. That is for Beach Read.
I feel like it definitely has more spice than flour, but whatever. Anyway, Beach Read came out in 2020, but I didn't read it till 2023 at least. I don't know when you guys read it, but it was the first Emily Henry book I read, and it was highly recommended to me by Alicia, which is why I picked it up. And the main trope here is enemies to lovers. Personally, this is one of my favorite Emily Henry books. The title and the cover make it seem like this like cute little rom-com at the beach, like Hallmarky, but instead it has like a ton of drama and trauma and I personally found this to be way more than flower spice. Probably 2 chili peppers out of 5 in my, naive heart. Um, but I did listen to it and the narration was great. I think Alicia and Alexis both read the book. So Alexis, what did you think of it?
So I actually also really, really loved Beach Read, despite the trauma dump as previously mentioned. Gus and fittingly enough, January know each other from college, and their interior dynamic was actually one of my favorites of Emily Henry's. Honestly, with the trauma dump, I think it felt more real because life is complicated and sometimes super depressing stuff happens and super complicated stuff happens. So it's nice to know that she added that with like an element of like, oh, there's this person that like understands you and like helps you through this thing. And so I actually really, really liked it. And Enemies to Lovers is one of my favorite tropes. So this book is honestly probably my top out of the 4 of hers so far.
Yeah, I enjoyed Beach Read. It made my list of top books that I read last year as well. It's yeah, as you've mentioned, I am a fan as well of Enemies to Lovers. This one was also like a really slow burn, which I also really enjoy in books. I know Riley just gave it the chili pepper rating, which is usually referring to the spice. I don't know if we've used that yet on here. But I like the slow burn. I don't know. That's where I enjoy the little romance stories at more so. But what I really liked about this book was like the competitiveness that we saw between the old rivals and that competitiveness kind of like serving as the backbone for their love story. I will say the like cutesy dates to the, cult research was some massive whiplash, but uh Emily Henry's writing made up for it. So like her dialogue, like say like I love how she writes. I love her dialogue. She writes some good romance lines like Gus has a line where he's just like, I don't need snowflakes as long as there's January. And that's so damn cute. So yeah, last comment on the plot that I have is that I just like that they were like supporting each other, even if it was a little competitive. And we got some good representation of quality time as a love language. And I thought it was adorable. So, question for both of you. Do you think Gus and January will make it as a couple?
If they're not Endgame, I don't know who is, to be honest. I thought like they had such good chemistry. They were written so well. Like, who else would they end up with after all that trauma? Like, honestly.
I agree. They're in game.
Yeah, I think that the fact that they faced that real life drama and like scenarios and then just dealt with things and pushed each other to be successful and all that kind of stuff was just a really, really solid foundation. And so I also think that they are endgame.
Look at that. 3 out of 3. They're making it. Let's move on to our next 1-star review. And it was reading this book is like seeing your preteen cousin at Christmas and them telling you about every single inside joke they have ever had with their best friend forever in one long run-on sentence as you feel your last brain cell suffocate and die.
Wait, that's an awesome 1-star review for this book.
Good old People We Met on Vacation. So personally, I liked People We Met on Vacation. The characters, Poppy and Alex, were definitely a very interesting, weird friend duo. The trope here, which is friends to lovers, that's honestly tied for enemies to lovers for me, was just strange because like why was the thing that ruined their friendship for a couple years so anticlimactic? Like honestly, at one point I think I put the book down and was like, can you just make out and like figure this out or something? I'm kind of over this. But then also at the same time, I think it was sort of like a realistic timeline because I'm literally married to my real life friend Silver trope, and that obviously didn't happen overnight, but certainly not as long as they took. I also read the physical copy of this book. Riley, did you listen to this one or did you also read the physical copy of this one?
I listened to it in like one sitting on a road trip back home to New Jersey from Georgia. And if I had another book downloaded, I probably would have turned this one off, to be honest. This was easily my least favorite Emily Henry book. Um, the I just found Poppy and Alex so annoying. I think I texted Alicia like the whole time and was just like, this is so annoying. Like they both need therapy. I'm happy that they went through that eventually, but Jesus, I just didn't like the characters. I thought the setting was great. I thought how she wrote it was great. The narration was awesome. She has the same narrator for all of her books, but these characters drove me nuts. They were definitely not my favorite.
Yeah, the characters or like their relationship or just it wasn't hitting the spot for me. Like I liked exploring their travel history and that was fun and all, but like I wasn't getting the romance vibes. There was definitely, I mean, clearly boundary crossing, hence the silent treatment from both of them, alluding to that dramatic uh climax, quote unquote. I don't know. I felt like it was reading it just gave me the feelings you get in like a situationship kind of vibe and just like the miscommunication trope was there. I don't know, like the drama just felt forced. And yeah, the climax Alexis was like alluding to it just didn't feel like enough of an impetus to lead to them finally dating and like the burn was too slow. I may have said I liked the slow burn, but like I think if you zoom out, this relationship was like over a decade. I don't know. Riley.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's just like the burn was too slow. It was like they were just toxic with each other from the beginning. I don't know. Everything about them just annoyed me. It really did feel like that 1-star review, how they're like it's a preteen romance. It feels like a preteen romance, 100%.
This was the first Emily Henry book I read, and I enjoyed it enough, obviously, because I kept going back to read the other ones. But this would be in the lower 50% for me personally.
This is my least favorite.
Oof. Well, let's switch it up. And we got another 1-star review. And that is, ironically, this book will make you no longer a book lover.
What a good play on words.
Ha ha.
I gotta say, I definitely disagree with this review. So
Ditto.
Yeah, same.
I liked Book Lovers a lot. Maybe I'm into a grumpy trope because like Beach Read was also one of my favorites, and that's there. I mean, the trope of this book is clearly sunshine and, quote some Taylor Swift, Midnight Rain. Um, but I really enjoyed the dynamic. Nora was a relatable workaholic, you know how it is, the grind. But this was in my top books read of 2023. I think it's my favorite Emily Henry book. The writing was a little polarizing for times. Both the lead characters are in the book industry. If you're breaking the fourth wall, like you're a person reading the a book, you probably like reading books. And I don't know, I felt sometimes like the narrative leaned a little too much into talking about what it felt like to enjoy and like reading books. But it balanced out for me with like the chemistry between the couple and just like the lines they would have back and forth, the dialogue and whatnot. So maybe they read too much romance, but their characters could also make you swoon, and I like that. I also like that the little sister's name was Libby, and I would like to believe that is intentional because of the app, um, because that would be funny.
I will also choose to believe that, Alicia.
Thank you.
So Book Lovers was actually not one of my top favorites. But in the grand scheme of things, Book Lovers and People We Meet on Vacation are like probably tied for me. I did enjoy it. I've enjoyed all of her books so far, and it was actually my first book of hers that I read, and I just think I really love Nora. I think she was the most identifiable character for me out of her female main characters. The very like independent, sassy type was obviously pretty on point for me personally. But I think it was Charlie that was kind of unforgettable for me. I think I honestly, after I read it, I was like, oh, okay, this was good. And then I read People We Met on Vacation and I was like, oh, okay, that was fine. And then I got to Beach Read and I was like, wait, this was actually kind of amazing. So I think as I gradually read more Emily Henry books, I got more and more impressed, I guess, with Emily Henry as an author. So I did enjoy it, but definitely pretty on point for People We Met on Vacation and Book Lovers like together for me. What about you, Riley?
So I listened to this one too. I do end up reading one of these, so stay tuned. But this one was probably my second favorite, actually. Beach Read was my favorite. This one's probably second favorite, and it was honestly really close. Um, I feel like the it being like a Hallmark movie, but instead about the, sunshine girl, it was about the frigid girlfriend from the big city. Like I really enjoyed that. They made that trope very obvious, which didn't make me angry. That personally doesn't bother me. I thoroughly enjoyed all the subplots to this book, probably even more than I liked the actual like main plot of, the two main characters. But I loved everything about the sister and the uh what's it called? The bookstore and them going to the theater and meeting everybody in the small town. I just feel like she did a really good job at like, I don't know, world building for lack of a better term. Like I felt really immersed in the story and I felt really immersed in that like little crappy town in North Carolina. I think that's where it was. But I don't know. I really enjoyed it and also brought me back to being an Emily Henry stan after reading People We Meet on Vacation, since like that one is really not my favorite. Um, but yeah, moving on. What do we think about these couples? Do you think they're gonna last? Alicia?
Poppy and Alex, I don't particularly see a future for them, but like I feel like we didn't see a ton of their dynamic as a couple, more of their friendship. So who knows? Maybe, but probably not. Nora and Charlie, yes.
Yeah, for Poppy and Alex, for me, I'm not sure if I see them lasting if they didn't speak over the most anticlimactic situation I've ever read about. But if they really were friends for so long, I think that they would just have to keep that in mind and talk things out like adults. For Charlie and Nora, I think they had amazing chemistry. I do believe, though, personally, that they would have to work through a lot. I do like that in this book, Emily Henry kind of goes deeper than you really think at the surface. Maybe I'm being a little analytical here, but they did have very different personalities, and not to get too literal or too dark. When opposites attract, there tends to be a lot of problems later on because of those differences. But I'm going to keep it light because this is a love-based episode and romance episode. So I will say that I'm just going to assume that they managed to work through it successfully. What about you, Riley?
For Poppy and Alex, it depends on how much therapy they get. But I don't necessarily see them lasting. I feel like they're gonna get like real codependent and just like keep bringing up the situation over and over again, and that'll be the end of their relationship. But I also didn't like this book, so I'm probably not the best person to commentate on this. Um, However, for Charlie and Nora, like 1,000%, they were just meant to be in my head, and I'm not gonna change my mind on it.
With that, our last 1 star, 1 line review. It took me 4 days to read this, and respectfully, they were the most painful 4 days of my life.
Aggressive.
I don't disagree. Don't disagree.
Well, I do, Alexis. I guess we're gonna start out on a positive note because I think I'm the only one who likes this book out of the three of us, but
Oof.
that's okay. I did read this one. I read it by the pool, and it was very, very nice, little by the pool read. Highly recommend. But I really love this one. It wasn't my favorite, no, but I still really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy like reading it since it was the first one I read. However, I definitely read it in the narrator's voice the entire time, which I thought was funny. I like just kept noticing it in my brain. Um, this one is the fake dating trope and like kind of the close proximities trope. And the main characters are fake dating to not ruin a surprise wedding, but I don't know, it didn't annoy me. I thought it was kind of fun. They had a lot of communication issues, but that was to be expected by the tropes listed. Anyway, I love the location. I love the vibes. I love the relationships with their other friends. Um, I think those relationships were just as interesting as the main relationship. They definitely need a lot of therapy to get through to make it in their relationship, but overall, I don't know, I thought this book was quite endearing. Um, Now I'll let the two of you destroy it and take it away. Go ahead, Alicia.
I mean, I think my biggest issue is what you mentioned. Like, the miscommunication trope is just not for me. Like, it was played out way too hard. I was like, just talk. Like, come on. You've been together like a decade. Like, you've been together for so long, and you're telling me you don't know how to communicate between the two of you. And, like, put on top of that, you don't know how to communicate with all of your friends who, I don't know, like, it was just a big flop for me. Like, I liked the idea of pairing the past and the future as like the narrative for the story. And one of my favorite books of that I read last year, Out of Love, did this where like you were in the present time and you kept getting flashbacks every other chapter of like this relationship, and I loved it. Like, great premise. But like, here, the present and like just the situation of them being, yeah, like stuck in this house with their friends that they refuse to tell them that they've broken up, and how they were it just I couldn't root for these two. Like, it wasn't for me, and I felt like the friend group's history, just like their dynamics were lacking to me. Like, could have played out a lot more on, oh, how does this group of friends change over a decade they've known each other? Like, I don't know, build out the world a little bit more. I would have appreciated it, but it's a romance story, so like I get why we were focused on the couple, but meh. Alexis.
I'll try not to really reiterate anything that Alicia kind of already hit. But overall, Happy Place didn't really do it for me. I wanted to like it a lot. I had just read Beach Read before this, which, like I said, ended up being the one that I liked the most. So I think it left my expectations a lot higher. Overall, I honestly think this is a really good book for anyone that's like post grad of like college, because it really hits home discussing topics like changing dynamics with your friendships, overcoming traumas, fears, and pain and grief, finding yourself, and just stuff like that. And so I really just feel like if it didn't have such a that major miscommunication trope, it probably would have been a lot better in my opinion. Um, and like I agree. I mean, the fact that you've been together for a decade and you don't know how to talk to your friends and your significant other is kind of crazy to me and should probably make you question on being with that person and low-key getting new friends. But then again, like I said, your relationships and dynamics with your friendships will change. So I'm glad that towards the end they obviously sort of started to figure it out on dealing with things in a better manner. Harriet was honestly kind of killing me with her drama over the career choice. Like, girl, you're an adult. I need you to chill out. Like, and Win just not speaking up to his own partner about what was happening. It just seemed very frustrating in the sense that honestly, that's how people are in real life. But like I said, at some point you were together for that long and you don't know how to speak to each other. It's kind of crazy. Um, Personally, when it comes to their friends, I feel like the friends kind of sucked because it's like the whole faking relationship to not ruin a wedding thing. Like, if you can't be honest with your friends, who can you be honest with? And so, and I feel like as their friends, knowing towards the end or admitting that they knew about everything kind of going on, like, what the hell? Like, how old are you? Why didn't you just come to your friends and be like, listen, we know you guys broke up. It's okay. So I don't know. Yeah. But as far as them making it as a couple, what do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that we believe the answer is no.
Riley, do you feel like they would work it out?
I mean, with therapy, anything is possible. But I don't know. I personally like them together. I think they're gonna have codependency issues since she, just like quit her whole job and moved to live with him. So we'll see how that goes. I will add though, the couple that they like stayed or were fake dating for that did their like quick wedding there, I don't think they're gonna last.
Me
That is my
neither.
hot take.
Yeah, it was really random. But as we kind of start to wrap up the Valentine's Day episode, are there any other notable romance authors that we would like to mention? Personally, I enjoyed the Lucy Score Knock 'Em Out series, so I would like to mention her here. I have heard her other novels are great. I was supposed to read the Christmas Fix during Christmas, and life got ahead of me, and I sure did not do that. But I have heard good things about it. Personally, Things We Hide from the Light was my favorite out of the trio. But a lot of people from Bookstagram and Book Talk tend to really like things we never got over. I believe I mentioned that in the wrap-up episode.
I didn't realize she wrote a Christmas Fix, which I did read and like enjoyed. And then 2 weeks later, I picked up the first book of the Knock 'Em Out series and got 5 pages in and said, absolutely not. And trudged through the rest of that book because Alexis tells me the next one gets better. But like, I could take this review from Happy Place about how like it took me 4 days to read this, and respectfully, they were the most painful 4 days of my life. Yeah, make that 14, and that was me getting through that first like things we cannot get over or whatever the title was. Like, it was a note for me.
Obviously, that is something that Alicia will not be getting over. Haha.
It
I
is.
have read none of these. I have no opinions on any of this.
They're not bad. Also, does Red, White, and Royal Blue count? Just kidding, but also not really. Casey McQuiston is an author that I would like to read more of, and right now all I have read of theirs is Red, White, and Royal Blue.
I've read their other books and I've enjoyed them a lot. They are all romance stories, but like with a really strong subplot. So like One Last Stop has like this magical element subplot to it, and I Kissed Shara Wheeler, the and I Kissed Shara Wheeler has a like mystery subplot, and I really like that, like balancing out the romance aspects of the books.
I'm quickly realizing that I don't reread a lot of romance authors, so I don't have a big opinion on other notable romance authors unless we can count Sarah J. Maas. Does she count?
I think so.
Okay, then I recommend Sarah J. Maas. Um, but IDK, other than like, or I don't know, I just said IDK instead of I don't know, but I really like Emily Henry, which is why I recommended this one because I had actual things to talk about. Um, Taylor Jenkins Reid, I don't think she's really romancy. She has romance components in her books, but I wouldn't call her books romances. I don't know, but if anybody wants to send me more like authors you think I should read, other than Lucy Score and Casey McQuiston that we just talked about, I'd appreciate it. That'd be cool.
Oh, we completely forgot. Rebecca Yarros is primarily a romance author, and I've heard her romance novels are actually really, really good. I just thought about her, like as we were talking about this and looking at my bookshelf. I have
Look
a
at you,
couple of her
Alexis.
books out here. It's like I run a bookstagram or something. I have a couple of her books on my shelf. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. I'll read them. I'll try to read them soon. Maybe during February. Bam, there you go.
Tessa Bailey's also pretty popular. She writes books that definitely read like a Hallmark movie. Um, they're fine.
They seem like a good book to read by the pool or the beach.
Exactly. And there's the two I've read at least both had coastal themes, so it would fit perfectly for you, Riley.
A nice beach read. Haha, to tie it into one of the titles.
I
Cringe.
love
No.
it. I love it. Pun
Yeah.
intended.
Pun intended. You should have seen my wink, but we can't do that.
Okay. I do have one recommendation if you need a fun, cute read for February, and it's the Heartstopper series. They are graphic novels and they are adorable. The last installment just came out at the end of December, and I still need to read it. And it's also on Netflix if you enjoy a good book to TV show series. But I just love it. It totally gives you those like teen crush vibes, like so well, so good.
So, what are y'all reading right now? I'm currently reading Queen of Shadows to talk more about Sarah J. Maas, but yeah, that's where I'm at in life. Oh, and I just finished the Julia Fox book, um, Down the Drain, and that was like probably the best memoir I've read. What about you, Alicia?
I'm cur oof, words. I'm currently also reading a memoir, and it is Britney Spears' The Woman in Me.
I
It,
listened to that.
yeah, you recommended it, I think. I'm like a third of the way through. And like I don't think I could rate memoirs. Like it's somebody telling their life story. They're fine. I enjoy reading them. I mean, a lot of them seem to be traumatizing, but that's what I'm spending my free time on. Alexis, how about you?
So I just finished Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. It secured its spot as still my top out of my favorite one out of the seven. I am currently reading The Color Purple, which I have to finish by Tuesday for my book club's meeting, so wish me luck. Um, so I just want to say that March is going to be our 8th episode, which is insane. I can't believe we're already almost to episode 8. But I did the math, and that means that May would be our 10th episode, which is appropriate because it's going to be the Idea of You book to movie comparison since the movie comes out on May 2nd of this year, aka 2024. And the reason why it being episode 10 is appropriate is because the man playing the male main character is a 10 out of 10. So, BRB, I'm gonna go buy some Nicholas Galitzine merchandise to wear during the episode, even though you guys can't see it, but I can see it, and that's really what matters. So, and yes, we don't actually know what March or April's episode's gonna be, but I was already planning ahead, just so you guys know.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining this month's episode of Like Literally. Please follow us on Instagram, on Goodreads, or on Storygraph, and we'll catch you next time.
Happy Valentine's Day!
Bye, friends.
Just ending with bye, friends. Who cares about these 2 months? But here's the game plan for May.
That's exactly what happened. I'm not gonna lie, you guys.
It's okay.